Why belly up?
This is the game. It's cat and mouse.
Smoked a turkey. Yes. He is down. He is freaking down.
Said he shot an absolute giant.
Fall obsession, baby.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another Fall Obsession podcast. I'll be your host today, Media Production Manager Nick Powell here. I am here with a couple special guests. I have our CEO, Sam Thrash.
I'm a special guest now?
Yeah, you are.
Dang.
Today you are, because I'm the host.
Stepping it up. Dang, I've never, even on our own podcast, I've never been a special guest.
Today is a new day. And then we have another very special guest today, all the way from Graham, Texas, Nick Latham. Welcome.
Hey guys, how are you?
Dang, you got very special.
Very special.
I see how it is.
That's right, that's right. Well, like you said yourself, you're on multiple podcasts.
I am. I'm on multiple podcasts. I gotta give somebody else this equipment so somebody can go somewhere and do something without
That's
me.
right.
And take a break.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
My
Worked so
wife
hard.
would like that.
Yeah, mine too. So today I just want to kind of follow up on a podcast that we did a few weeks back. It's called All Part of the Dream. And it was just kind of how Fall Obsession got started and where you got your inspiration on how Fall Obsession came to be.
Right.
But since we have Nick here, I wanted to follow up and see if y'all could give me a little more insight on where it came from and where you see it going.
Man,
And what's happened along the way.
Yeah, so I know we were...
Lots.
Yeah, a lot. I know obviously we game plan podcast before we just dive in and start talking about stuff, so I know we were talking kind of in our pregame about, wanting to be more specific on how we grew, not just the inspiration behind the growth, but how we grew, and honestly, it was painful at times, painfully slow at times, and as I said in that last episode, or the one that you referenced, episode 5, I think it is, it really wasn't until the last year or two, I feel like we were really kind of focusing in on the vision that we have now. We were just kind of floating along before that somewhat, learning as we went, but taking it all the way back to the beginning, I know you and I, Nick, were there at the kind of the kicking this thing off originally.
Yeah.
Way back when. It was a little different.
Way back. I really, at the time, you're a young man. And for those that you don't know, I'm quite a bit older than Sam.
Yeah, you're super old.
Yeah, way old. But you were a young man. You had a passion. You pretty what I would call mature for your age at that point, and in direction of what you wanted and what you were trying to do. I can remember just as we were in discussion, just asking you some questions, and at the time social media was there, but it wasn't as big as it is today.
Yeah.
Trying to fill out, hey, do you think your parents would let you get on Facebook? Do YouTube videos? I don't know. There's balance there. There's balance that you need to have, especially in this day and time. So, and I think that was probably one of the first conversations. Is just, where are you trying to go with it? What's the ultimate goal in doing that? And that was kind of the first conversation.
So how did you guys meet?
We've known each other a while.
Yeah,
it was through church originally.
Okay.
We went to the same church, and that's how we met. And then through a lot of mutual friends and everything, we got to hunt together and do stuff like that. So that was fun. But I don't even remember the first time I met you. I really don't.
Testament to how long y'all known each other, huh?
Yeah, we've probably known 12, 13 years.
Yeah,
something
it's
like
been
that.
a while. Now that whole time was not the time of Fall Obsession.
Right.
As I mentioned before in episode 5, the Fall Obsession originally started, or I say originally started. It was the first thing I ever did was along these lines was that newsletter. I don't know if you remember me sending you those, and then you are the one that gave me the idea to turn into a blog.
Yeah.
And that's where the social media thing and everything came along. And then a couple, I guess I did the newsletter thing for a year, and then I did the blog thing for about a year. And again, no definitive vision. Kind of knew some stuff I wanted to do, but it wasn't like this is who we are type structure, I feel like.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard. I mean, you're 15, 16 at the time, and it's kind of hard and this is just me looking back at it. It was hard for me to just come to you and say, okay, well, here's the plan, blah, blah, blah. You're going to do this, and this. I mean, you're still trying to grow into life at this point,
right?
Along with this vision that you're putting together. So some of the things that we're even doing now, we discussed way back when, but it wasn't the right time. There had to be personal and life experience growth take place before you were able to even be ready to handle that.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of folks out there, and I mean, you have these folks that come about, the influencers or whatnot, and they just hop on the scene, and it seems like they've been there forever, and more than likely, they put in time somewhere.
Right.
Like they've been doing something to get to that point.
Yeah.
So I know at that time so you got your newsletter thing, you kind of went into email a little bit, and then
the
blog, and then you went into the other social network. I know that's when, I guess it was year 2 or so is when you started doing videos.
Yeah, so
we kind of started shooting some a little bit.
Yeah, we shot some. We started with when the blog kicked off, I kind of wanted to have a team or whatever, some other guys that helped me and gave me some insight, and you were one of them, and so that's how you became a part of it. And we had another guy that was there for just a little bit, that originally in the very beginning, and we started with that blog, and I mean, it was super random. It was just kind of whatever I thought of at the time. I'll put something out there on this, or I'm doing this, I'll post a picture, whatever. No rhyme or reason to any of it. And then after about, I guess the first thing outside of just the random posts that I would do was, I guess I'd been doing the blog for about a year, and we decided to do that photo contest, that very first photo contest. And that's one thing that when I listened to episode 5 after we published it, I was like, man, I really wish I had mentioned that, because it's kind of cool. Is we did that first photo contest, and it was a trail cam photo contest, no prizes or anything. It was
congratulations, you win.
Congratulations, you win.
You have the coolest photo.
You have the coolest photo that this little tiny blog that nobody knows about saw. I mean, that was it.
Yeah.
And we had 1 or 2 dozen people that still send in photos.
Yeah,
people want to show off their photos, and so at that point I remember being like, man, I should do this more often. I should do those photo contests. Well, we called that our first annual trail cam photo contest, is what we called that. And I think it's so cool that just a month or 2 ago we had our 8th annual trail camera photo contest.
That's awesome.
That was pretty cool. So and that just shows, if you're looking for a timeline, there it is. How long we've been playing around with this idea of fall obsession. So
before the blog, you did a newsletter.
Right.
So, and Nick, you were signed up to receive this newsletter. Is that right?
Yeah. So I had him start, because at this point I'm like, so you got what? You hunt and you're sending out a newsletter to who? I'm trying to put the pieces together.
I told you, it was literally 6 people. Literally 6 people.
Yeah.
He was one of them.
And so, it's like, okay, well, send it to me. Let's see what you got going.
Yeah.
And it's rough, you know, at this point, you know, like I said, you have to take into consideration his age, stage of life and all this. And so what was important to him at that point is definitely, I would say, probably not as important as as it is today to him.
Right.
But, you know, that's one of the things that when in life, you always have people that come around you and encourage you. I know I have men in my life that have done that for me. And so because of that, I felt like, you know, hey, here's a kid that has some want to, some desire, is passionate about what he's doing. I need to mentor him.
Yeah.
I need to help him out, not to tell him what to do, because you don't want that. I want him to learn, and there's some things that, like, I'll go a little deeper on. Sometimes, you know, and earlier on at the time, it was like you could see the brain just, you know, like, how are we even talking about this yet? But I think that's important.
Yeah.
To have people that you surround yourself with, especially when you're working on projects like this, that have been further, that have gone further into it, and that can give you that encouragement and say, hey, I know you kind of feel overwhelmed with this right now, but stay after it, keep plodding along, and at some point you're going to look back and go, oh, why was I even concerned about that? Yeah, I mean,
I've had a few of those moments.
Yeah, I think everybody has.
Yeah, it's part of life.
Yeah.
And so that's been amazing to see and very gratifying just to see those changes take place, and to really, you know, when you think about 5-6 years ago, me coming to Sam and saying, hey, at some point you need to have an online store. Like, you need to have something you're selling.
Was
online.
it that long ago
Yeah,
already?
I was thinking back, you know, I have drive time, and as I think through these things, and I'm thinking about our company or whatever we call it, our
organization.
Our organization.
We are a company.
Yeah, I mean, we are a company, you know.
Neither here nor there.
But, you know, as I'm thinking through that, and I'm like, wow, that was that long ago.
I know.
It doesn't seem like it, but it also seems like Full Obsession's always been there.
Yeah.
In one way, shape, or another, it has, for sure.
So does it seem like it's kind of flown by a little bit, or does it seem like it's...
Yes and no.
It's a roller coaster.
I feel like more recently than not, it has flown by, because the last 2 years, and I'm sure we'll get into it here in a second, but the last 2 years we've seen a lot of changes and a lot of growth, good changes and good growth. And before then, you know, I kind of felt like, looking back at it now, it's like, man, I was just floating through, not knowing, not really having a clear vision. And now it's like, man, these last 2 years have already flown by. Like, I remember very, very clearly, you know, launching the new website that we have now.
Yeah.
You know, working with Blake to design the new logo and everything. And it, you know, that was almost 2 years ago already. And it's like, holy cow, we have had this new platform already that long that we're operating under right now. And which is crazy. But
And I think it's perspective too.
yes.
So some of this stuff, and this is no knock on Sam, he was just young at the time, but there were certain life experiences that he needed to have before he could almost have the respect, like have the needed know-how and respect for what he was doing.
Right.
Or what he was going to do.
Sure.
So when you talk about, you know, a single guy, teenager into early adulthood, no matter how mature you are at that age, all of a sudden you're married and have a child and you're working in the workplace and there's a huge amount of life experience that comes really fast.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
For sure.
And I think part of that, with me looking back, me getting to see that from objectively, is I've seen that take place in your life, that you've gotten to that point where you were able to go to this next level and for it to speed up. And that's been great to watch and great to be a part of. Get these things that we kind of had thrown against a wall and said, hey, maybe someday, and now that day's starting to be here.
Yeah.
And when our group, when you look at our staff and how the people that are involved in it and have been involved with it, everybody's got unique skill sets, but I feel like we're getting more directed, like professional skill sets that we're putting in these positions, and it's not necessarily by our own doing. I feel really grateful that we have people that have wanted to join up our organization, and they have these things. This is what either they're doing in life or they're wanting to learn to do.
Yep.
And that's a real blessing. I mean, you don't have that a lot of places. You really don't, and it really is something to be grateful for.
And it goes also just with our own development, our own growth. It's a lot of trial and error too on our own part. I mean, you look back at some of the early videos that we produced in those early days, and I mean, they don't even compare to what we're putting out now. And I truly believe that there's still room for improvement. In the next 2 years, we're going to look back at our videos today and be like, man, we're so much better now than we were then. But the development, and like Nick's saying, seeing these people come together with these skill sets, I've been really encouraged by. I mean, you, for example, Nick Powell, I got two Nicks here. You, Nick Powell, you started as a field staffer, and you expressed an interest for the video and the editing side of thing and the function that administrators have. We had the opportunity to restructure some roles in our company recently, and that left the option for a media production role, which you then stepped up to fill. I know you're honest enough to admit this to everybody else, not with a whole lot of experience other than what you played around with.
I'll be the first to tell you.
Yeah, but you and I sat down and we went over stuff. We went over editing videos, editing podcasts. We sat down, we broke all that down together, and now, I mean, you're over here. We shot a video today, out here at Cinnamon Creek, and the production quality that we're seeing is freaking amazing, And then we have, on the flip side, unable to join us today, we have Drew, up in Minnesota, who is our marketing manager, and when Nick says, stuff that guys already have experience with, that's what Drew does for a living, is marketing and development and social media and all that stuff. And we have seen so much growth on our online social platforms since we brought Drew on board. And that, again, that comes with experience. It's stuff that we probably wouldn't have been able to do the extent that he was able to.
No, and it's developing those relationships so that we can spread the responsibilities.
Yeah.
It's hard to have two guys just handling everything.
Yep.
Because, say we even get to, you and I go out and we get video done.
Right.
Well, if we don't have somebody with us, we're
swapping back and
swapping
forth.
cameras back and forth, or we have multiple cameras that are going to have to be edited down. We have all these different things. And so having that third person to be able to run the camera is essential. Same thing with the business aspect of it, with the marketing aspect of it. If it's just a couple, you're doing everything. I can remember a time when I had a company, and startups are always hard. You're wearing so many different hats, and at the time, I was trying to go get business, so I'm going out and doing sales, getting the business, then having to service it, doing the service aspect, and it's this just constant cycle of up and down. And your income and what you're selling, it never seems to sync up until you get other people around you, and that's the hardest thing. The most fantastic thing about what's going on here is guys have literally said, hey, I don't really expect much, I just want to be a part of it.
Yep.
And that's been amazing, and getting to share the experience with our staff hunt.
Yes.
And have
that was awesome.
Everybody come in and really, I mean, that really builds your team up. And I wish everybody could have come. but I understand. We have guys in 14 different states.
14 different states in Canada.
Yeah. I mean, so
it's crazy.
2 different countries.
Yeah, I mean, we're to the point where we are getting bigger, and we are going to continue getting bigger, and we may have to split it up sometimes, or maybe we do a staff hunt up in the north, and maybe we do a staff hunt down in the south somewhere.
Right.
And things like that. But that's what growth is. That's what the beauty is of doing this, and just staying after it. And it takes time. It really does.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can look back from when we were starting this, and I've worked in a lot of different industries, in lots of different positions, from being an assistant plant manager for a national assistant to the national production manager for a manufacturing company, to sales, to design, to all these different, and I've got a degree in electronics, and now I'm in another industry as a manager over electronics, which is like the first or second time in my life I've actually used my degree. And but I really am thankful for those different positions, and just having those skill sets that I was able to hone up and get into and research. Because as we're getting into these things, and you're dealing with social media, you're dealing with all these different platforms, they change so fast.
Yes, they do. And that's been one thing that we have had, even just in the last 2 years, to adapt with.
Yes.
Is our own plan, our own strategies for promotion and marketing and all that stuff with an ever-changing industry. And for those of you who don't know, the hunting industry on top of that is one of the most difficult industries to grow in, to make a name for yourself, and so growth has been slow at times, but I mean it's all a good experience. It's beneficial for sure either way.
Mm-hmm.
And
absolutely,
yeah, and being able, like you're saying, to distribute workload has helped. I know we have had some guys come and go at different levels within our organization, field staff, pro staff, admin, each one, but. And I like to tell people this too, Nick Powell, because people ask me now, especially the people that you and I both know, mutual
mm-hmm.
friends, are always like, man, I hear that Nick's editing all your videos now. And I'm like, yeah, he's doing most of them. And I'll tell people, I was like, handing that off to you and letting you run with that was one of the biggest reliefs to my own workload for all this.
Mm-hmm.
And yet one of the scariest things that I have ever done, because
I understand that.
Because from day one I had been editing them,
yeah.
And I had learned by trial and error, by producing crappy videos at the start, how to make these things better, how to get where we're at.
And he didn't want to start doing that again.
Started from square one with this guy.
Pal, this sucks.
Yeah.
But handing that off to you, and I know you and I did training and stuff, but that was the hardest thing, because I would sit down and do a project and I could be dead exhausted, and I didn't want to edit a project.
Mm-hmm.
I was tired of video editing, but I knew what I wanted it to look like, and I knew what the end product should come out as,
right.
And I knew what I needed to do to get there. And now I'm completely putting all that in somebody else's hands, only for me to see the finished product. And so that was a difficult thing to do, and I compliment you for. I mean, I don't think I have yet to send you a project and say no, try again.
So far.
Yeah, but I can remember when you came on though. I sent you that email, and I wasn't really joking. Like, seriously, take this load off of Sam so he can do something else.
And man, that with a company like ours, especially, distributing that workload is so important because, I mean, if we haven't already mentioned it, we all have full-time jobs elsewhere.
Yes.
We do not work full-time for Fall Up Session, even though we have spent a full day out here
literally
doing productions. This has been a long day, but we do not work full-time for Fall Up Session. We do not draw a salary. I mean, maybe God willing, maybe one day it would come to that, but we don't draw a salary, so we have to be able to manage our own lives. We have to keep the wives happy,
mm-hmm.
and not completely overwhelm ourselves. And so that's why the workload is very important in putting guys in roles where they can not only thrive but can make it easier on everybody else. So,
Yeah.
and I feel like right now we have a pretty good dynamic on that at the time. So,
And I feel like the role that I've taken is not small, but it's not a huge role either. And so I can, and now doing it and experiencing it, I can tell it takes an hour to get 1 minute of footage, and so it's just really time consuming. And so I can definitely see and can contest to that workload and on top of everything else you have to do. So
yeah.
I'm glad that you entrusted me with that.
Well, I'm glad you were so willing to do it too, because like we've already mentioned, it was, despite the fear at first of handing that task off, it was a huge relief to be able to focus my attention elsewhere and stuff like that. But, and man, so we're talking about growth, we're talking about stuff we're doing, and I know we're getting farther into our time here, but I know you mentioned at the very beginning of this that you wanted to talk about some stuff that we're doing right now too.
Yep.
And I feel like talking about video editing a little bit right here is a perfect time to roll into what we were doing out here today.
Yeah.
Because today we were functioning with, like you're talking about, with that third guy, that cameraman that
Yeah.
could help us out. And he looked really good with his headset.
Here we go again.
Pro, so official. So official.
You guys are too kind.
But so guys, we're and I don't think we even said this at the beginning of the episode, but today we are out here at Cinnamon Creek recording. Cinnamon Creek Ranch, they are one of our partners. Great archery facility and pro shop, ranges, wild game processor, and a huge event center. So real quick, if you guys are in the North Texas area, please come check out Cinnamon Creek. They'd be happy to see you and help you with whatever you need. But we were out here earlier today recording a series that you're kind of front and center in, Nick Latham.
Yeah, haven't really been involved in much content. I'm kind of behind the scenes for the most part. Got to get in the scene a little bit with the hunts down in San Angelo. But one of the things we wanted to do, we love our followers, and we're always looking to support y'all in everything that we can. But also, we feel like that based on some of the feedback that we've gotten, that the how-to or setting up of new type content is sometimes received even the best based on the different statistics that we look at. And so one of those things is I've never shot a bow consistently. I've probably a couple outings in my life, and as far as with a compound bow, only one other time. So we have this partnership, a wonderful partnership with Elite. They were kind enough to work with us and become, as a partner on this series using the Cure bow. It's called, the series, we've talked about it a little bit, but Cure Your Obsession. The goal is to take someone who's novice, who does not shoot a bow, has not, and take them from the very beginning to hopefully put some red on it. I appreciate the opportunity, and I really appreciate Cinnamon Creek letting us come over here today. Provided us the avenue to really get this bow set up, go through the different aspects of it. And guys, I mean, when y'all see these videos come out, I mean, we're starting at basic level on.
We're starting literally at square one, and I'll second what Nick says about having entry level content. I've been bow hunting for years, so I tend to, whenever I produce or make a video or produce content, I tend to gravitate toward a more advanced level, and I don't focus as much on content for the guys who are I go over their head. And that's just me personally where I'm at. And so the opportunity now to bring, like Nick's saying, to focus on how you start to bow hunt, how you get started. I mean, we have literally taken this series from you opening the box of your bow.
Yeah.
I mean, square one, as much as you can get square one.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, just we have in our mindset that we know how. I mean, you watch someone do something, or I at least do. I watch someone, I didn't do that. And guys, I mean, I took the bow out and I couldn't even pull it back because all of a sudden I'm using muscles I haven't used. And so we had to bring it over here, back it down a little bit, but it's good. Keeps you humble, which, you know, should keep that drive going to be better and better and better. And I kind of have to throw a jab at go ahead and throw this jab at Drew.
Oh, throw it, man.
Throw it hard.
Drew, I mean, all I'm going to say is maybe we had to dial it back just a hair, but bullseye, buddy.
6 shots.
Yeah.
I mean,
So for those of you who don't know, with the series, it's not just Nick that we're walking through the series.
No.
Drew, our marketing manager up in Minnesota, he is also participating in this journey.
Yeah.
He actually did get to bow hunt a little bit prior to, but it was with just kind of a smaller setup, if you will, and so we're taking both these guys through this journey of getting a bow in their hand and taking it to them shooting a deer, hopefully this fall. So Drew's unable to join us because he's 2,000 miles away from us at the moment, but yeah, Drew, Nick can freaking shoot this thing already, so you better watch out, buddy. He's coming for you.
That's right.
so hopefully we'll have maybe some content coming up that's a little competitive.
A little friendly competition.
Yeah, throwing some arrows at each other. not literally.
Not literally, no. Don't literally throw. No.
But figuratively.
Figuratively, yes, very much.
So it'll be fun. I'm really glad for this opportunity, and it's gonna be fun.
Man, I really enjoyed it too. Today, just working with you on bare basics. You know, we talked about over time you build up the muscle memory and everything to be able to shoot and stuff, and sometimes just being able for me to step back and break it down. You know, I become amazed too at just how much goes into this process, how much is involved, and over time, you know, how much guys grow and what they're capable of. You know, with this piece of equipment, archery is amazing. It really is. And I have no doubt that you're going to have a strong passion for this by the time it's over and done.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of already want to go grab it again.
we've been sitting here recording podcasts for too long.
Yeah, it's already setting in.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, and really, guys, I'll just go back to it. I mean, pulling that back the first time, you know, it was a struggle because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know the feel, and you talk about muscle memory and you talk about all these things, and all of a sudden, then it's just not that hard. Like part of it's just technique and getting that positioning properly and putting. But you know, it's cool. It's been a really fun time out here. Cinnamon Creek has hosted us extremely well. I couldn't say thank you enough for them and their facilities here, and then just getting to hang out with y'all has been a blast.
It's been a fun day, man. We have not. I mean, we haven't had I know the three of us especially, we haven't had a day like this, and I haven't been a part of a production day to this scale in a long time. So it's good to get out here and do some work for the company, get some content going, and be set for the rest of the month. You know?
Yeah.
So and I'll circle that back around kind of as we're starting to get to the end of our time and starting to wrap up here. I'll circle that back around to just kind of the evolution of our content. And what all we offer now, because we have so many different, we have such a diverse selection of stuff, and it can be found on our website, fallobsession.com, but it's, I mean, we have over 30 guys, counting ourselves, on our staff at an administrative, pro, or field staff level, and each one of these guys contributes in different ways, whether it's articles, reviews, videos, pictures, whatever. And
recipes are pretty awesome.
Recipes, yes. I'll give our recipes a plug. We got some. I used one the other day, actually. I dug way back into the articles.
There you go.
And I found one heck of a recipe for a venison roast, and it was amazing. But so we got recipes on our website that are awesome. But I mean, talking about just the evolution of our content, you know, we started with. Like I said, just the sporadic, random picture or video, no rhyme or reason to it. And then now we have articles, podcasts. We're 10, 12 weeks into our podcast now.
I know.
Is when this episode is going to launch. And I know you, Nick Powell, and I, we recorded the very first podcast that we ever did. And should we let our secret out?
Yeah.
Should we let our secret out?
Yeah, why not?
How this started?
It's going to come out eventually.
So guys, I don't know if you guys have gone and listened to the every single podcast episode we've had, but the very first one that we recorded was actually posted as episode 2. It's the 31 deer in 3 days episode where we recap our San Angelo hunt. And Nick and I recorded this sitting in our pickup truck. Mm-hmm. we had this recorder, which we're still using, but we had this little recording device that our marketing manager Drew had provided us. And thank you, Drew. It's been awesome. But we didn't have any microphones other than just the standard one that came on the device. Yep. And we needed a quiet environment with no noise. And we both have young kids, so we can't record at our houses. So we literally sat, and what's sad is this wasn't the only time we did it.
Oh yeah, we've done multiple. Yeah.
We sat in our pickup truck in a parking lot and recorded these podcasts, and it turned out all right. Yeah. It really did. But now, even just over 12 weeks, the evolution that we've seen, because now we're sitting here, and granted, we're being hosted by Cinnamon Creek, and they're letting us use their facility, but we're sitting here in a much more professional environment with actual microphones that we have acquired, and you're over here with your super cool headset, unlike the rest of us, looking all official, your laptop and everything. So, even that just shows the improvement over a short period of time, the growth that we see, and the opportunity to do this at this scale. So, I'm super proud of everything that we've accomplished, how far we come, to see the growth both within ourselves, both online, in our numbers and our following, and I'm super excited about where it's going to take us as well in the future. Yep. And I would be remiss to not say something about our good friend Chester Barnes as well, because even though he's no longer a part of the organization at an official capacity, he has done so much for this company in the 5 years that he did help us out with stuff. Oh yeah. And he did a lot. He was very influential in the process of helping us with some of the partnerships that we have now with Elite Archery, Vapple Products, and all that stuff. So we probably would not be shooting Elite bows right now if he hadn't made that initial contact. So Chester,
we tip our hats to you.
We tip our hats to you, and we thank you, sir, for your help that you've given us over the years, for sure.
100%.
Well, if you guys don't have anything else, we will close up shop here on this podcast.
Man, I'm glad we got to do a follow-up kind of the one we had before. And I know originally when we recorded that one before, I didn't really expect to be doing a follow-up, but it worked out really well, and I hope that guys enjoy this episode too. Because, like I said before, roots are important, as I said in the last time we talked about this. So, and I want people to know where we came from and our whole story.
Yeah, so, and it was really cool to get your perspective in the first one, and then Nick Latham, thank you for giving us your perspective in this one.
Yeah,
for sure.
It was good to hear.
He didn't rat on me too hard, so.
Man.
Maybe we'll have a follow-up to the follow-up.
It's good, man.
We'll have ourselves a good old-fashioned roast.
Yeah. There we go. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us. Don't forget, go follow us on all of our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram. Go subscribe to our YouTube videos. Go check out fallobsession.com. It is the hub. You can find articles, gear reviews, recipes. Find out our flagship show, Fall Obsessed Outdoors. Go check out our new series, Cure Your Obsession. It'll be up there too. And a note on that, speaking from someone who had no idea anything about archery, I wish there was something like Cure Obsession when I first got started, because that would have helped a lot.
It's a good thing. It really is, and it's awesome that, and granted, there may be a series out there similar that I haven't seen, but to my knowledge, it's kind of a pioneer series for us, or I know for us especially, but for the archery industry, and it's awesome that we can do it with an Elite bow in our hands.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you guys for joining us.
Yes, thank you, Elite, very much. Thank you, Larry. Also, guys, real quick, I hate to interrupt Nick, but there's also on our website, fallobsession.com/podcast, there is a form that you guys can fill out, and send us a topic suggestion or ask questions, and we will do our best to get to them in a future episode too. So another cool feature. We want to be interactive with you guys, so be sure that you send us suggestions on stuff you want to hear us talk about, because we got a lot of cool guests coming up on this podcast too.
All right, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Please join us next week for another follow-up session podcast. We'll see you later.
You sound tired, man.
Do I need to redo it?
No, that's good. It's been a long day, guys. We're signing out. Thank you all for listening. We'll catch you later.
Adios.